Alright, hey guys, I'm Matt Lighty, and this video, quite simply, is just going to be a very basic showcase of this Earthshatter Berserker that I transitioned into from playing Flicker, simply because it was requested by many people that I make this video, and this map has no regen. Why is it on here? Yeah, I got this damn regex, and it just seems to not want to hit things, but that's okay. I'm glad I checked it before I just fucking killed myself. Anyway, the build is Earthshatter Berserker, which is a RT slam build, Resolute Technique slam build, so we're non-crit. And the foundation of the build as a Berserker revolves around war cries, exerting attacks, and using Earthshatter, which slaps the ground, does a series of these spikes, and then use a war cry to explode the lanes, effectively giving you full screen AoE. Now, you use a set of auto-exertions with a variety of war cries, which do not give you the benefit of the actual war cry abilities, but they still, do their war cries and exert things. So that's the real benefit, is they counting for using war cries and exerting stuff. So when you use the support auto-exertion, which realistically is what I was expecting to be nerfed, versus them nerfing Volcanic Fissure of Snaking, which was a popular but not at all the best slam build in the past years or so. Earthshatter is just sufficiently more DPS and clear. So I was really surprised they didn't nerf Auto Exertion. They went for Snaking instead. But yeah, it basically uses a Fist of War setup, which is used on slams. What you can actually see from the little red circle around the ability, when that comes back, you've got your Fist of War back up. That's like kind of how you denote it. So your general attack pattern is once every 1 to 2 Mississippis, right? Because you want to do it with your Fist of War active. And all these auto exerts are popping your things, and it's not happening because I'm in my hideout, but it happens automatically. So we actually don't even run that many auras technically. So you can actually do things like run reduced aura map mods as your part of your regex, and it doesn't make a difference because the only actual thing we're running is Herald of Purity, which technically isn't an aura. Everything else is just auto exertions, which do reserve mana. They do take mana to use, but by using a couple non-channeling rings, the actual cost of them just becomes a negligible amount of life, since we're grabbing things like Cannibalistic Rite, or grabbing things like the Life Masteries to convert a percentage of our seals into life. So our mana cost becomes a non-issue. The actual Earthshatter does cost mana, but if you just get like 2 mana on hit on a jewel, or a very small amount of Ellie Leech, you have no problem sustaining. Because again, everything else we have linked to, an amount of Leap Slam is technically off of our mana, but we have Life Tap on our manual auras. We have a couple manual auras to just force proc things, but mostly because we use Enduring Cry here. It gives us a bunch of life regen, which is nice, and Rallying Cry, which gives us just a bunch of added damage, which is great. So this is a way of manually getting the buffs of our stuff. We grabbed some Warcry nodes to make our Warcries better, and a big one's Warcries can exert travel skills. So when we Leap Slam, it doesn't eat our exerts. You can see our 12 down there. It stays 12, but when I were to attack, it goes to 11. So that's when we get our super juiced slam. Gearing wise, you could pretty much run all rares, no problemo. You're just looking for things like stats, life, res. Any place you can gain strength is great. Chaos res, any AoE scaling. I'm using a Carnage Heart because it's just super good and cheap, and a Magnate because it's in the same thing. It's great. We do have a lot of strength, 631, and we're using a mace because we happen to get a huge mace, but axes are fine. I guess staves are fine too. Yeah, I think that's it. It has to be an axe, a staff, or a mace, since we're dual wielding. So it's just like a big Unga Bunga slam. We're tanky, we're consistent, we have good AoE. We're not super fast, but our single target's quite good. And we're walking around with permanent fortify and permanent endurance charges. The endurance charges you can just get from using your Warcry, because we have a minimum power amount, which is how the Warcries scale for applying an amount of effect. But we just have this rule that just says the gain an endurance charge over 14 seconds. The 15-second one works too, because when you pick up these 2 small nodes, it seems a bit goofy to grab for 2 points, but you grab these 2 small nodes here, that one and this one, the 40% increased endurance charge duration. Those 2 small nodes make it so your endurance charge lasts 16 seconds. So it's going to go to 1 or 2 seconds, then loop back over, and then you don't actually have to worry about having endurance charges or keeping them up at any point during a map. You just have max endurance charges. If you wanted, although I don't really think it's worth it, you could spend the extra points, so 5 points, to grab Disciple of Unyielding and pick up the increased endurance charge duration. It would effectively take you 3 more points to do that, because I'm already putting points into the 2. So it'd be for 3 points, you would be getting, you know, what is that? 6 times 18 AoE, the amount of damage, and then a little bit more armor. If you think that's worth it, that's totally fine. You know, if you have endurance charge rings synthesized, congrats, amazing. You could definitely go that route if you so choose. As a Berserker, we are picking up Aspect of Carnage, the Warbringer, to make our attacks just exert twice as much. This is really good quality of life. And then Rage from Crave to Slaughter, so that makes the Rage a little bit better. That feels really good. The extra 2 points I just put into the new Bloodline for Otherworldly Appendages from the Breach one. What this gives us is a nice amount of mitigation. So we have Fizz and Fire, because we are converting some damage to Fire. I should change this taken as cold as taken as fire, but either way, we're just getting 30% less damage from those 2 sources, and it does make our graphs do more damage, but graphs basically do fucking nothing compared to your character. In no way, unless you're built around a graph somehow, are they going to do more damage than any proper build. But yeah, we're walking around at 6k life, which feels good. Let's just pop a map in just so you can see what it looks like from a very basic standpoint. The gameplay loop, and it's pretty simple. People think that Warcry builds are complicated, but it's actually not complicated, really. So I'm just going to be like right-click walking here. I'm not even going to use my rallying cry or my my other cry, because you simply don't really need to for the bulk of the map. Your auto exerts are going to be triggering your explosions every couple seconds regardless, right? Now, you want to be doing them because it does give you life regen, and rallying cry gives you damage and additional exerts. That's great. But if you just like didn't really feel like doing it while walking mapping, you don't have to, because your basic slams are literally screen wide as is. The second you hit anything, you're max fortify. We have so much hit damage that it just goes straight to the moon. So the general gameplay loop, if you will, is just leap slam and then right click. 1, 2, right click. You know, everything gets pretty much killed. It's pretty comfy. So I'm currently level 99. I'm going to be probably getting 100 in this character just by proxy of playing the game. You don't die very often, if at all. I haven't died in basically like 4 levels. I haven't died in a map in 4 or 5 levels. Yeah, it's just a really super consistent kind of vanilla mapper. If you're looking for something that's can get you 100, can do all content in the game without any issue, this kind of fits that bill. For Pantheons, I don't have a Storm Shroud, and I don't have any way of getting ailment immunity easily, so we just grab Brine King for our chill and freeze. Then we grab the Garrukon for reduced shock effect, which also gives us maim and blind immunity. I do have from a Jewel hinder immunity as well, so when you combine it all up, we're immune to blind, hinder, and maim, which the new boss from Breach does hinder you. However, it doesn't actually, for some reason, because game too good, when you have cannot be hindered on a Jewel, the new boss will still hinder you. For reasons unknown. Because, you know, whatever. So, yeah, that's just like a minor annoyance, but not a big deal. The overall tenor of the build is quite simple. For leveling early on, you could just use any other slam skill. Sunder's a popular choice. I wouldn't really bother swapping to this until you have your auto exert setups or reduce mana cost rings, because you basically don't want to be earth shattering until your auto exerts are free. That's the thing that you really want to have. You do not want to be paying mana for auto exerting. So once your war cries cost 2 life, you know, that's like the sweet spot for whatever. I forgot to use my fucking my sentinel zap. Wow. But yeah, the single target's actually pretty crazy, because you're hitting and then blowing up all these spikes, so you could just like totally dunk on bosses, and it feels great for bossing because you could just have screen wide clear, right? Like it's hard to kind of see, but the pops are going pretty much across the entire screen. They do overlap in the middle in such a way that if you were to hit something straight on top of it and then blow it up, it gets nuked, which feels good. So a big fan of that interaction. But yeah, it's just like such a simple comfy, tried and tested build. It's one of those builds you see people who level to 100 in hardcore pretty consistently because, again, the build just works. It hasn't changed in so long, and it just works. So there's not much really thing intricate to talk about regarding it. There is levels of min-maxing you can apply, but it's just kind of pointless because you just get to 100, you don't die, and you one-shot everything on screen while walking, and it feels good. For flask setups, I just have a gold flask when hitting uniques and rares. Armor, because we are armor-based in general, so it gives us a nice little chunk. We're currently at 10,000 flat. Go to 20,000 when flask on, but I don't even have perfect gear for defenses. You know, my 3 pieces are hybrid, so I actually have dead stats across the board. You can grab iron reflexes if you felt like building out towards that, but it's just kind of pointless. Just get straight armor bases. Look at my gems. They're literally all just one note in colors. And realistically, if I took off this faster attacks, my dex net requirement would be like fucking 20. So, you know, just keep that in mind. You don't actually have to build much for those stats. You could use a Mage Blood. You could use a Headhunter. Amazing. You could use Brutal Charges like that. We wouldn't really bother. I just feel like it's better to have walking around with Endurance Charges feels good. And I just have the Elemental Flasks with a nice little suite of Reduced Curse, Bleed, and Corrupting Blood, and then some Fizz Leech or Life Regen works as well. Nothing really else in the tree, I don't think, to talk about. You have an amount of Rage nodes, and Two-Hand Leech. It's just quite a vanilla setup. Some people do go Precise Technique, although I don't really recommend it. You can. It's just RT, I think, works perfectly fine. There's really nothing in this game that you can't do with just walking sim. A fun interaction that I definitely would recommend is the Warning Call and Lead by Example. This is nice because it gives you permanent onslaught is a big one. So it just makes the game feel just better walking around with permanent onslaught. There's an interesting interaction because of the verbiage here. It says, when you war cry, right? And we're not war crying per se, our auto exertions are war crying. And the distinction's special because the second line in the Warcry thing says when you use a Warcry. So when it says when you use a Warcry, those you have to manually use. But when in like the 5th line down, where it says remove all damaging elements, when it says when you Warcry, those do apply, right? So those do apply for auto exerts. The removing all damaging elements applies for auto exerts. So that's a good one to grab if you feel like grabbing that. But the one it says when you use a Warcry, those require manual input. It's really strange. I don't know why the distinction exists, but it does. I guess I want you to have automatically be getting 15% life ridiculously across the board. Eventually, you would swap to the Uber Elder helmet. If you know what that is and are buying that, then you probably have a more understanding of the build in general, but that is a transition to make, although that does make things a little bit more complicated. It gives you a ton of damage. It gives you % scaling per Warcry exerting a Warcry recently, and we're using a ton of Warcry, so huge damage. And yeah, there's like no really wish list items, I would say. Again, it's just you're looking at the same consistent stuff you'd use for any other build. Eventually, you can add a Timeless Tool. Eventually, you can do the Flesh and Flame. All that stuff is fine and well, but I would probably just transition to a better build eventually. This build is perfect. This is the Subaru Outback of builds. It can do everything in the game very easily, idiot-proof, hardcore solo self-found, tanky, great damage, great clear, very high floor, medium ceiling. You can build it so you have 20 million single target on Earthshatter with, you know, weapons such as this, and then good investment and good gear and stuff. But what's the point when you could just do the same thing on a Wander and be off-screening versus having to walk around slamming, and you actually get to use auras versus having auto exerts? It's just like such a sturdy build, you know? So that's basically it. That's the basic framework for Earthshatter. It's great if you said, oh, I've never gotten to level 100. Oh, I can't do, you know, my 4 stones piss easy and hardcore or something. Yes, you can. This build does it. It's really, 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 really easy to do. And if there's any other bloodlines I'm thinking of, you could probably grab the Schizophrenic bloodline. That one's quite good from Delirium. You could probably grab the Oshabi Bear bloodline. That's probably okay too. You could probably do this on a Chieftain. That's also okay. But yeah, it's you can see 1,000 people playing this build to 100, and so it's good. That's it. That's the basic framework for Earthshatter. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm not going to take this character much further than I'll probably get level 100. I'm gearing for a reroll, so I'm going to get level 100 by proxy, and then this character is not going to receive any more love than it has currently right now. And after everything's said and done, it'll just be here, and that's cool. And then eventually I'll Convert it to a fucking strength stacker or something with real gear. But, alright, I'm Mathew Lighty. Have any questions, feel free to ask them. Enjoy your earth shattering. And, that's it. Goodbye.